thank you very much for joining us for what's going to be, hopefully, a special celebration of an incredibly special individual. None of us want to be sat here having this conversation, but it feels right that we do it. Brycey, I'll come to yourself first. You guys, in fact, all three of you were at Par's funeral. How was that?
Powerful, sad, obviously, extremely sad, and overwhelming amount of people. Amazing.
I would say it was impressive because, I mean, the place itself was unbelievable. It was this huge, not a cathedral, but like a huge church.
Felt like it, yeah.
And the amount of people that you didn't see. I know they did a live stream, but the amount of people outside, the amount of people inside was massive, but you didn't see the amount of people outside. And the night before, obviously, they had a two-day wake at his parents' house. They were queuing for a kilometre.
Wow.
So around the town, they did a one-way system. We got there last thing because we'd got a late flight. But they said all day from like 1:30, they were queuing all the way around the town, and they had to make a one-way system to get everyone round. And even when we got there last thing, there was still so many people coming in and out. I know, obviously, the funerals, it's a Catholic funeral, it is a big thing to do it like that. But still, what a send-off. And I think, to be honest with you, I know we all, from my point of view, and I know we probably all share the same, it was an honour to be able to carry him and be there, and the family letting us and wanting us to do that, Obviously, first and foremost, it's about the family, They've got the biggest loss, but it was really nice that we could go and show our support, all of us, and everyone comes together just to show that respect.
They almost included us in that as well, though, didn't they? Because we're like
kind
of like the STRONGMAN family. And I mean, it actually was so nice to meet all his family. Obviously, terrible circumstances, but I said a couple of days ago, it's having known Pa all these years and then meeting his family. It's like I understand now where he gets his wit and his kind heart and everything from, because they were kind of giving off that exact same
lovely.
thing. They're just beautiful people.
Well, we all, it's fair to say, sort of turned up to the wake the day before. Probably a little bit standoffish and feeling like, let's just, stay back because this is a family thing. And they sort of really embraced us, the family, really, made us feel welcome and wanted us all to pay our respects together, which was, to me, it felt really nice.
I think his final resting place as well was, I wasn't quite sure what that moment was going to be like, to be honest, but it was one of the most beautiful. It was like out of a movie or something. It was beautiful, and when they played out Neil Pickup doing the MC bit one last time, it was great to be able to cheer him one last time. That felt really good, and everybody.
Yeah, for those people that are watching, basically Neil Pickup announced him one last time, round of applause, and his walkout song from Giants Live came on.
And there were a lot of people crying as well as cheering, and the snow was coming. Little bits of snow was coming down, and it was just a beautiful setting on top of the sort of crescent of a gentle hill, in what felt like it was obviously either an old church or wherever, and it was just right in the centre where the roof had obviously caved in hundreds of years ago. It felt incredibly powerful and moving.
You lads have kicked this thing off properly, because ultimately it's a celebration. So we're trying to smile when we talk about the stories of Pa, and you have to when it comes to Pa.
No.
But I think specifically with this is that the reason he's known, the reason he became famous on social media, is because of Strongman, and obviously you guys have known him from when he began in that. But Terry, when I say Pa O'Dwyer, what first pops into your head?
I mean, I think the obvious one most people would say is his comedy, because he was absolutely hilarious. I mean, I'm not very much of a laughing kind of guy, but every time I was around Pa, I'd be in stitches. He's just absolutely hilarious. But for me, it's the sort of character of him in terms of being a straight guy, says what he thinks, wouldn't back down to anyone. If he felt like something was right, he would stand up to that. And it all came from his heart. It was a good place. Like, he had an absolute heart of gold, wanted the best for everyone and wanted everyone to get kind of what was right for them, if that made sense. And I think probably people didn't necessarily see that side of him, that strong side where he was like, no, this is wrong. I'm going to stand up for these guys because, and he was very much like that. He was kind of like, I know him and Luke were so close. He was like Luke's big brother, but he was almost taking that role in any situation. He's like just standing up for what was right. And I think that's the big part of what people started to see on social media in the end.
There was a good story from his, who was it? It was his brother in the speech. And of course, Pa was all these different jobs that he'd done in life, and he's a gym owner as well, you know. And the story about a father who wrote to him when he heard about the passing of Pa, and his son was bullied at the age of 13 and getting bullied really badly. So he was very worried about him, and Pa met him at the gym. He came down, and he was a bit scared about going in and lacked confidence and many other things, but Pa took him under his wing, you know, got him going, and 2-3 years later he was exceptionally popular at school, had balance, had lost 40 pounds in body weight, put muscles on, and, you know, just absolutely adored Pa. And that's the kind of guy he is, you know. Some people might have thought on the internet he was maybe one of these characters who was a bit fulsome. Quite the opposite. Pa actually stood for a beacon of light, too honest sometimes. I mean, and for many people, he was, you know, but he stood up for people, and he stood up for what he
said
believed.
how it was.
He was fiercely loyal as well when he felt like
that's
what was
I would
right.
say, you know, the question about if you had to say what you know, what did he mean to us, sort of thing. For me, it wasn't the funniness and all this; it was the loyalty, because, you know, with the company and making decisions, there's always somebody who's going to give you some shit about should have done it like this, should have done it like that. Pa always looked at things. He was always very loyal. He looked at things a bit more logically, and he always had our back. Always had our back, and that he was a very loyal friend.
And you spent a lot of time with him, specifically in your house for a while.
Yeah. We couldn't get rid of him. No, it was brilliant. I mean, all the guys come over and train, and there's somewhere to stay. And he used to come over a lot, probably more than most. And you've got people living around here. That's how I met Luke Richardson. Evan Singleton would also stay, so him and Evan spent quite a few weeks staying at mine. And it's good, you know, they get to train with the equipment, test the equipment, and they get this almost like a training camp. Of just spending a few weeks just in strongman. Yes, they're away from the families and things like that, but if you look at all the top athletes, really, that's what they do to get good, and having Pa around was brilliant. And the main thing that I saw differently to what I saw from Pa at shows, where it's very jokey and all this sort of thing, and was the past that he had before strongman. He's experienced in the fire brigade, which weren't always good. You know, he saw some things that you know that scarred him. You know, when he talk about these things, it made him quite tough. He was very much a joker, but he was also very tough as well. He was a tough guy. He wasn't just like a soft, jokey person. And we got to know him really well. You know, he was involved in the family. And we appreciated the experience with him, but also what I got to learn more when I spoke to his sisters and things like that he appreciated being there as well, which was really nice. You know, they were saying he said this, and he told people the stories about what we'd done and how much he enjoyed it, and that meant a lot to us as well, to know that, you know, that we'd made an impact on him. You know, and it just, you know, people are going to miss him, simple as that. They're going to miss his honesty, because there's not enough of it, to be honest.
Do you know what's amazing is, if anyone passes away, there's rose-tinted spectacles, and you look back at them and you say wonderful things about them. But as far as charm goes, Brycey, I don't think I've actually ever met anyone who turns people on a sixpence as soon as he meets them. I mean, I was in Iceland doing the Magnus show a couple of years back. I spent 3 hours a day in the back of this van with him. Me and Shane Flowers. Shane, to me, hit the nail on the head. He said, I came to that competition to be deadly serious. He said, I wanted to win. And after 2 hours, I decided it'd be better to have a great laugh with Pa. And the jokes he was cracking, if any one of you guys said them, it just wouldn't be funny. But from him, I was crying of laugh. I've never laughed that much. He had such charm.
Yeah, no, he was. I mean, I got to spend the best part of a week with him and Eddie Williams and Nev, of course, going around Scotland doing the stone lifting. And just before we left, they sprinted out and got a ukulele and the whole way around all these different historic stones of Scotland. I tell you what, the Windsor stone, old Pa pressed it overhead without any problem before Andy Black or any of the other guys even had a wee pick of it over his head with it. It was impressive, really impressive. He was ballsy, he was funny. I mean, yeah, it was a right good week actually, and he could sing. Very good singer.
We're going to hear from Eddie Williams in just a second, by the way. He's on the line waiting to go. But Terry, just touching on what Bryce said, from a strongman perspective, overhead, very impressive. What made him a good strongman for you?
I mean, he was just pretty good at everything. I mean, he's one of them sort of guys, but exceptionally good at things like Conan's Will. His overhead was often very good. His deadlift was decent. I mean, he was... I've always said this, like he's maybe not one of the absolute superstars of strongman in terms of like right at the top, you know, your Tom Stoltmans, your Mick Hoopers, but you'd never see Pa get his butt handed to him, essentially. He'd always be in the mix, he'd be in the fight, and it doesn't matter what level he was at, he was always in the mix. And I think, and I'm not just saying this obviously because of what's happened, I've said it previous to all this, very underrated strongman, and I think that he perhaps didn't get enough credit, maybe because he was such a joker. People sort of saw him like that. You know, he's the funny guy at strongman comps, but actually was a very good competitor as well, and I think very underrated.
Well, he was a slow builder, though, wasn't he? In many ways, each year he got better and better, even though he became the strongman a little late in some ways.
When he got that second at Britain's, was it 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
22.
22. He was absolutely brilliant. I mean, he beat a really informed Bish.
Well, he stayed with us before that to train for it. And, you know, obviously the whole, like 90% of the conversation is wind up all the time, you know? So, like, he was always saying how much better he was than me in the strongman. I was like, well, where did you place at Britain's? So I came third, and then the best he'd got is like 6 at that particular time. And how many times you've been to Worlds and all this sort of thing? I've been a lot more than him. And so this went on, and he was always creating these arguments about why he was better than me, and I was saying the same back and just joking and went on. And then when he came second, I swear down, he was just staring at me like that. He got his trophy and he's looking at me on the platform like that. He's looking at me grinning. And Lindsay said, "Are you going to give Pa his trophy?" I said, "No, you can give him it." So Lindsay actually gave him his trophy. "I can't do it, you've got to give him it." And she gave him it. He was just looking at me like that. He was going second place, you know, because he knew he'd done it. So, yeah, I think he got a lot of joy out of that.
That trophy came out actually in the funeral, which was nice.
Yeah.
Eddie took it to him.
And the ukulele as well.
And the ukulele.
That was there, which was nice. Nice sort of things that were important to him, I suppose.
Yeah, that's why we're here ultimately, to celebrate the life of a special man. He was a strong man, but he was a lot more than that as well. There are 4 of us sat here, but other people wanted to join, including one man from halfway round the world. Eddie Williams, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we've all come together, but I couldn't miss this opportunity to honour such a beautiful man.
Well said, mate. A question I've asked to all the lads so far is, when I say Pa, what goes through your head? What word do you think of?
Annoying. In a good way.
Tell us why.
Like someone who annoys you when you need to be annoyed, when you need to when you're being too serious. It's like he annoys you, so then you go, it's actually not that deep, you know? And he kind of brings you to earth. He's like, yeah, you're actually right. It's not that deep. And he does actually feel better. You're like, why was I so worked up about that thing?
Mate, well said. You guys have got, I guess, a special connection that none of us really had with Pa, and that's a musical one.
I remember when you guys, and Colin included, went on the road trip to Scotland to the stone lifting, and you and Pa were thick as thieves then. you know, that weekend, you and him just connected so much, and then seeing you guys afterwards at World's Strongest Man, wherever you were, Pa was next to you and vice versa, you know?
Oh man, like that's a bucket list trip for me. And I hope some of the guys, I hope we do that again. But with more guys, and almost a way of honoring Pa. That would be a cool thing to do. Take a few guys. But we did get closer, you know. It's one thing seeing someone at a comp, hey, how are you? Competing against you, cool. You know, we'll talk after the comp when we can all relax. But having that opportunity with him was like, it was eye-opening, because it was like, I feel like we're the same. You know, we wear our hearts on the sleeve. And when you love someone, you love without delay, or it's like no filter. So the fact that he gave me the same energy back, we like hit it off, like, you know.
I think
Any
someone
duo would.
I think someone
Being the middle child, like the children too, I think we were just, we just became like best friends. And Scotland really showed me that, you know, Pa and all the other strongmen. That's why I'm like, I try and be open to all the other guys, because when you show the openness, it lets their guard down. And I'm so glad that anytime me and Pa hung out, it was like no holding back. And I hope I get to experience that with all the other guys, because I can look back and go, man, we really made the most of all the moments that we got to hang out, you know?
some of the moments I remember from that trip are, to be honest, there was a lot of driving in that bus, and I got chewing gum on the seat. Still never been forgiven for it.
Unbelievable.
But, so you both had. Did you both have ukuleles on that trip? Two guys with ukuleles in the seats behind. It was a rocking car.
Giant Flyer bought one, but while we were there, Pa was like, "Oh, I really want to buy a ukulele. I've always wanted to buy one." So I was like, "Oh, let's go buy one. You know, let's go get you one." And at the end of the confession, or the time that we had together, I was like, "Next time I see you, I want to hear like a full song," you know. But that whole trip, he was playing, and he just kept getting better and better.
Who sang? Who sang and who played it?
Well, there's one part of the clip where it plays out Pa singing and playing the ukulele. That was really cool. We've actually got that recorded. We'll have to make sure that gets out there.
Yeah. No, there was so many good songs, you know, that was sung that weekend, and just like the things that we did was like a movie. Like we got to stay in a castle. We got to go to Aberdeen, you know, like all these things that hardly any people get to do it. And we got to do it.
And you remember how long?
It was like we got a VIP pass.
Do you remember
all
how
these things?
Do you remember how long before the trip? Of course, we were planning it with Pa. But it was months, wasn't it? I think it was about. I think he just joined us, didn't he, on the Sunday? Where are you guys going?
He wasn't meant to be going.
He wasn't meant to be going. Where are you guys going?
What are you doing tomorrow? Oh, we're off on a trip. Oh, can I come with you?
Can I come?
And then he said to me, "Can you book me a room on that trip?" Right. Yeah, okay. And that was it. It was a free spirit.
Seriously, I'm so glad we got to do it, and I'm so glad. I think you picked the two perfect people to do it, because
we didn't pick Pa.
That's the point.
Pa invited himself.
He picked us.
But it was all the better for having him there. That is a fact.
Thinking back, I was like, it was just, you know, it was just me. And then he was like, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" He's like, "Oh, just gonna go back home. Like, you want to come on this trip?"
I seem to remember. Did we not do we called it Stacky Stone. Do you remember that one? Do you remember that? That never made it on the Giants Live channel. We must try and dig that footage out. I'm sure Pa won that Stone challenge as well.
The third third episode because there was so much we did, like the Bryce games.
The Bryce Games, the Bryce Olympics was the day we went to do, what was the stone? It was the Dinny Stones, and we couldn't get access to it. So we had the Bryce Games instead. So who pulled their hamstring in the Bryce Games? Was that
I think it was Parr.
I think he did. We started with a 40-meter sprint.
We raced 100 meters.
It was 100 meters. And Parr was pretty quick, and he was pretty confident he was going to win. And then he pulled his hamstring before the line.
Did his hamstring. And he called it was like, I had
Big Andy Black joined us as well. He was last in the sprint, Big Andy.
Eddie, what should we know about Parr that you know about him? Because there are going to be so many people watching this who won't have the opportunity to meet him. Obviously, you spent a lot of quality time with him, perhaps, dare I say, having drinks similar to these here, having a very good time together. What should we know about him?
Even though he was a very funny person on camera, he was so interested in all of you as a person, not just, he'd always remember things. He'd be like, how's your son with his, athletics, or how's Hannah with her training? He'd watch watch my whole family. He'll watch my content and he'll watch Hannah's content. So he was invested, he was so invested in my life, as I was with his. But he was so, just so caring.
I think seeing your friendship really blossom at World's Strongest Man, because obviously I see you guys once in a blue moon and everything, and seeing how supportive of you he was when you were at World's Strongest Man last year now, and it was a really nice thing to see. And like you said, he was really invested in you and your family. I remember actually stood behind him and Hannah cheering you on and stuff like that.
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps thinking about that moment because Hannah lost her voice. I get emotional thinking about it. Hannah lost her voice, so Hannah asked Pa, I can't yell, so can you yell for me? So if you listen to the video, he's like, another one, Eddie.
He was so pleased when you got to the final. He was so pleased.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And it was, and I got the same deadlift numbers as Tom Stoltman. I think, man, I had someone cheering me on who believed in me, And I hope that Strongman see our relationship, and I hope that they can open up, our competition. That it's a safe place to have friends, but also to love without withholding, if that makes sense.
Eddie, what you said is absolutely superb. Thank you so much for joining us. It's 3 a.m. where you are?
Correct.
And that just goes to show the love for Parr, because whether it's 3 a.m, 3 p.m, you wanted to be part of it, and we really appreciate you for doing so. So, mate, have a good night's sleep tonight, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Ed.
See you, Eddie.
Thanks, Ed.
And so from Australia to what looks like potentially the world's smallest car, 2 lads who absolutely had to get on board this celebration of life. Tom Stoltman, Luke Stoltman. Lads, obviously not the time we want to be talking to you, not what we want to be talking to you about. But Luke, if I kick off with yourself, when I say Parr O'Dwyer, what goes through your head?
First and foremost, a friend. That's what Parr was to me. A friend that supported you through whatever you had going on, never judged you, brought light into any room. Just a laugh a minute with Parr. But he was one of those people that I talk about judgment a lot, and when we're over at the funeral, the priest was talking about Parr going to heaven, and in the Bible it says that thou shalt not judge, and I believe that Pa will be in heaven next to all the great people, looking down on us all and just loving us all like he normally does.
Well said, Luke. And what about yourself, Tom? What first pops into your head?
Yeah, I'm echoing Luke, but yeah, he's not just a competitor, but he's a friend. I let him into our lives more than just as an athlete. He came over to surprise me when I first got on show his mum as a party. He went out his way to make sure I'm okay and texts me like randomly just to check up on me. And yeah, like I said, Pa, he's charismatic, he's caring, he's funny, and he's got a laugh that can light up any room, and a smile that's to die for. And he's just such a great person, and yeah, we're gonna miss him. But like Luke said, I echoed everything he just said as well.
Lad, something that you wouldn't have heard, we were speaking about off air, that you've touched on there, Luke, is the idea that whenever Pa essentially agreed or disagreed with something, he would stand by that. So if, for example, someone gets criticised and he doesn't believe so, he will pile on, he'll chime in.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely always had our back, and I think he always had everyone's back. I think, like Luke was saying, he was a very special character, and he showed that on the day of the funeral. I mean, there was literally thousands of people there, his brother said something that was just amazing. At the end of his speech, he said, if love would keep you alive, you'd still be here. I thought that was such an amazing thing to say. Wow. If love kept you alive, you'd live forever. I thought, what a great thing to say.
Lads, what do you think it is about Pa? Because we're here from the strength community, but really, he's so much more than just a strongman. It's the man that people have fallen in love with.
Yeah, I think that's it, Radzi. It's Pa was bigger than our sport. I don't mean that as a negative to our sport at all, but you can see that by all the people that loved him. He touched so many people that don't even watch Strongman, and that's the uniqueness of Pa. Pa's you talk about energy. Energy is contagious. And if you have that bad energy, it's contagious to you. But if you have that good energy, it's massively contagious. Whenever you're around Pa, he made you just have that good energy and feel that positivity and that love for life. And that's every time I was with him, I just felt so much happier. I think that's a truly unique person.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Tom, you mentioned Pa coming to surprise you guys. That was on social media. So we saw the surprise, but we didn't see the bit after the cameras went off. What did you lads get up to?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you see that wee clip, and for Pa to come from Ireland to come and surprise me was, starting up. I was shocked. Obviously, my face you could see when I first turned. I thought he wasn't real, and then turned again, and he was there. But yeah, we had some fun. Obviously, Pa was the joker for that whole night. He made our family laugh. He made Sinead's family laugh. He made everyone in the room laugh. He was dancing. They'd sit doing all his jokes. He was just being that kind of charismatic, smiley, jokey person that we all know away from the sport. So yeah, it was unbelievable to have him there, and he lit up the whole room that whole night that he was over for as well. So yeah, it was unbelievable to have him as part of that kind of very special day for me.
And Terry, what's really funny is, as a strongman, you're a big personality anyway. But the way Pa was, that was so authentically him.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said that. I think the thing with Pa, I mean, we live in a world where, there's a lot of like people wearing masks and they pretending to be something they're not and what have you. The thing with Pa, like, I had a lot of messages this week. People are like, oh, I didn't even know him and I feel so sad. But what Pa did was he gave his authentic self. It was very much him, wasn't it? I mean, obviously you boys would know as well. What you see on social media, the sticking up for the small guys, the anti-bullying, the being the positive outlet for everyone. That was exactly as he was in person as well, even more so perhaps.
Yeah, 100%, Terry. He was, a cunt's a cunt. Do you know what I mean? That's totally out. in Scotland we say you're either a good cunt or a bad cunt. Pa was a really good cunt that called out bad cunts.
Yeah.
One thing, touching on what Tom said, and I knew this from my point of view, Pa always checked in on me. If I hadn't spoke to him for a week or two, he'd always ring me up. He used to stay with the family a lot, and, obviously we all got on great with him. But obviously, reiterating what Tom just said, when I spoke to everyone at the funeral, Hicksy, Luke Richardson, all these different guys that were there, I know that he checked in on me. What you up to? How's the family? He did it with everybody. Maybe we all need to do that a bit more.
Well said.
Absolutely.
And I suppose, lads, the final thing to say is we really appreciate your time because you're very busy. You've got your own event that you're at, but you really wanted to join. What an honour it must have been to be pallbearers, to help Pa ultimately in his final journey. You were the lads that were carrying on his shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, that was a massive honour. Pa's family letting all the strongmen do it, and then myself, Luke, Terry, and Luke do the last bit. It was our heaviest ever lift, and it's something that is going to be with me forever. And then to lay Pa to rest as well after that was a very special moment. Obviously, a very, very hard moment, and obviously hearing Neil Pickup's song for announcement at the end as well for Pa was very, very hard. But hearing his last his walkout song, for the last time as well, was a very special touch for that as well. So I was very grateful to the families to let me walk Pa to his rest place.
And I guess also, Luke, with yourself, you were a very proud Scotsman. You were wearing your kilt there, but ultimately, I guess, Celtic brothers with you and Pa.
Yeah, that's what Pa was to us. It's a complete brotherhood that we do. And I think that was just echoed throughout the whole day, how many brothers and sisters that Pa has. People that genuinely loved them, the unconditionally love that we had for them. And I think it was Luke Richardson that said that what an honour it was to lay him in his last place that he'll be, in the physical state. So for us to have that, to lower him in to his final resting place was the biggest honour I've ever had in my life, to be able to do that. And yeah, it's just an unbelievable thing that we got to attend and to be part of, and to meet his family, the friends that he grew up with, to share some drinks with them. I shared a few Guinnesses with a lot of the guys at the end after the service. I'm still struggling today for it, but I think it was what Pa would have wanted. And truly grateful, eternally grateful to the family for allowing us to do that.
And we're grateful to you for your time. Boys, thank you so much, and we'll see you again very soon.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks.
And our final guest in this celebration of life is a man who knows Pa about as well as anyone could, his incredibly close friend, Luke Richardson. Luke, first of all, mate, how are you coping? How are you getting on?
Not well. I'll be honest. We're still in Ireland now. I've not flown home. So we're leaving back tomorrow. Obviously, it was a week today we found out that Pa died. And it's been like the slowest and quickest week of my life. It's been such a whirlwind. It was really nice to be there, obviously, and to be so included by the family. I think they all know what Pa meant to us all and what we meant to him, which is why we're there. And is part of what also makes it so difficult. But yeah, I loved him. He was like my brother. So.
And that's a huge point, is that for anyone who's joining who doesn't necessarily know your relationship, he unfortunately, I think, was going to play a very important role at your wedding.
Yeah, he was supposed to be my best man. So we're going to have to get all the O'Dwyers there. It's in Ireland, the wedding anyway. So I extended an invite to all of them on his behalf for September. But yeah, I think Lena was a little bit worried, actually. She maybe thought I was a bit of a threat. They were away on holidays all the time. Me and Pa text flat out every single day. be the first person I text when I wake up, the last one I text before I go to sleep, and everything in between. He was just, he was my best mate. I love him.
I mean, it had been some best man speech, by the way. You'd have taken a risk with that one.
I actually said that because Laura was saying, "Oh, who are you going to pick to be your best man?" And I sent a text to Par saying, like, Laura's asking me who my best man's going to be, but I know it's you. And I went, I don't want to give you a microphone.
I'm sure he won't let you down, mate. He's got plenty of dirt on you.
Yeah, and it's just he likes what was it Par used to say? Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. So I'm sure there'd have been some add-ons as well.
You know what I used to love about Par? Every time you spoke to him, and obviously you spoke to him very often, and me pretty often as well, and he knew everything that was going on. Did you notice that? Like, he knew everything. Like, if there's any situation to do with Strongman, or Par will know. Like,
yeah, he was very much like, he just knew everything that was going on because people just loved telling him things. He was very much a social butterfly in a way, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he just loved bitching, not in a bad way, but like he just loved to know what was going on. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of conversations in future that, yeah, even now, like, it's just strange not having that communication with him. It's very, very strange, but yeah.
Why do you think it is that so many people have fallen in love with him who haven't necessarily met him, but just feel this amazing energy? You automatically know this is a special human being here that I just have to tap into.
I don't know. There's just this. What would be the right word? Like, there's just this relatability, this personability. One of my favourite things with Par was that he was such a cocktail of just. It didn't make sense, but in the most perfect way. Like, you could make complete sense of him, but he was funny but serious. He was cold but like the warmest person ever. You could speak to him about anything. He never took himself serious, but yeah, he was just he'd tell jokes in a way where it sounds so stupid on first delivery, and then you sit there and you have some time to think about it, and you're like, that is so smart. Like, it was the highest IQ joke in the lowest IQ delivery way. He was just a fascinating character. Such a conflict of just all or nothings, and I suppose that's why he was so captivating. And he was just unusual in the best possible way.
When you had a conversation with him, did you not find that sometimes you were like, shit, this guy's so intelligent?
Yeah.
And other times he was so unintelligent. Like, it was so strange, wasn't it? Like,
yeah,
did you ever get where he couldn't understand something and it was so simple, you're trying to get him to understand it? Yeah, another time he's like on a higher plane than all of us, you know?
Yeah, he was the most predictable person ever. Like, he was fascinating. But I think because you didn't know where he was going half the time, it was like captivating as well. You wanted to listen, tell me more, and then you never know if you were going to get it to the end and just be in tears, or you'd actually kind of. It was very insightful for someone who didn't necessarily come across as that serious. But there's so much to be learned from him, obviously. Pre all this, and then post all this, we're all going to be able to take some away from it, and I'm certainly going to carry him forward as best I can in my life, and I'm sure we all are as well. So there was too many good things to say about him.
I think what you said there about he was so like unpredictable in a way. He's the only person I've ever met that could absolutely tear me to pieces, and then I could walk away from it thinking, "What a nice bloke." He would literally like rip me to pieces, but it was done in such a way that you'd actually come away from it feeling good.
I was just
and I think some people just have a gift, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, he was just a truth teller. So it never felt offensive. And then the thing with Par as well, he got on with people the best who don't fabricate the truth themselves. Like, you know, if you came into a conversation or relationship with Par with no barrier, you got the best of him. Very authentic, very transparent, hid nothing. His jokes were the same. He was just the best, wasn't he?
Well, do you remember when he did the commentary at the World Tour Finals?
I was trying to stop him from swearing.
I'm trying to stop him from swearing. And then afterwards, you were like, "What did you expect, Colin?" Because I was shoving him out there. Come on, Pop, Pop, be great. I'm thinking of, all of his jokes, all of his humour. I think he just started swearing.
Straight away.
And afterwards, he's like, "I'm so sorry. I was like a rabbit in the headlights." He just started getting verbal diarrhea.
We did the same this year in Glasgow.
Sorry, but he'd have done it again.
Yeah, we did the same this year in Glasgow. Nicola went over to get an interview with him backstage, and she's like, obviously, Pa just being Pa, making like jokes and everything else. And she's walked away. She's like, "Oh, we've had to stop it because he was swearing and saying rude things." I'm like, and you didn't expect that, like anyone could have told you that was how that was going to go. But it's just all part of his charm, wasn't it?
But that's it for the most part. It was like, if there was something you shouldn't say, he'd say it.
Yeah.
But he'd deliver it in such a way where it was harmless.
Yeah.
It was harmless. And I think he's going to leave a very big hole in the community, but just in the world in general. I think it was nice being there. And just the amount of stuff that's come out after, seeing the impact. But it's no surprise. It's no surprise that this is the response that's been evoked from the public, because he was that special that it almost just feels justified. It feels not enough in some ways, you know what I mean? He's a very special man, and I'll remember him for the rest of my life. So,
do you remember the moment when things started to blow up on social media for him? Because it happened so quickly.
And do you know what the irony of power is as well? And it was something that I've heard a lot of people said. I heard Mitch say it as well. The more you got to know him, the more you like him. And I think social media is a platform where people often put forward their best selves and hide the worst parts of themselves. Whereas Par's real ascension to social media fame came when he started showing more of himself. It was actually a bit of a disservice to Par for him just to be known as a strongman, because he wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, for most of us, being a strongman is the most interesting thing we are. But Par just being himself was, that was going to be his thing. And the more he showed, the more people liked him. And what a compliment.
I mean, in all fairness, he probably was getting more famous on social media when he stopped Strongman.
Oh, yeah, of course he was.
And he was an expert in badgers as well.
That's not the badger story. You can't tell that one.
Can we tell the badger story?
No. Just go watch his
YouTube channel.
It's too rude.
Oh, God.
He's told I wouldn't even tell the badger story. He's told the badger story, so that's it.
Okay. What do you have a favourite impression, by the way?
A favourite impression? What, of Par's?
Yeah.
He was so good at a lot of them, but I was telling Terry on the morning of his funeral at his mum and dad's house in Rushka that Par had Terry down to a T, but Terry never got to hear it.
That's what I said. I was trying to get him to ring, my then Mrs. X, when we was at Worlds in 2020. She was like just irritating me, because obviously when you're away competing, you do tend to get a little bit irritated by every little thing. And I was like, can you just ring her up, pretend to be me? And he was like practicing my accent over and over again. He couldn't quite get it. He was getting so frustrated. And then I tried a couple of times afterwards, but obviously you know now that you've heard it, and I'm absolutely devastated that I never got to hear his impression of me, because I've been trying to get him to do it for years.
My favourite thing about Par and all of his impersonations were that if he was talking about someone in a conversation he's had with someone, he couldn't just say, "Oh yeah," and I was speaking to Darren, and he said this. He'd have to say, "And I was speaking to Darren, and he said, 'You're right, mate,' and then just."
We once did a podcast where he,
Mark, Felix, Terry, everyone. It was just.
Yeah.
We once did a podcast where he pretended to be me.
Yeah.
That was a strange one.
I still think one of the best interviews Giants Live was Kaz interviewing Par as Kaz. It's got to be like one of the all-time classics.
Yeah, I think the first time he ever did that maybe was it Royal Albert Hall 2021?
Or was it? I know he did one in Leeds where it went on and on for ages.
Kaz took it well, didn't he?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, he did Royal Albert Hall 2021, because I can remember it was World's Strongest Man, which was late in 2020 because of COVID. Obviously, Par was there. And it was the first time he did the Kaz impression on a Martin Lissis video the day of the first day of the final. And Kaz heard about it. Maybe it was Darren actually was saying, "Oh, he's really angry, mate. He's not happy with you." And then he came up to Par at Royal Albert Hall, the first one, and I think played into it a bit that Darren had said that he thought he was angry at him, but then it just, at the show he obviously did it, and it was just, I could never been in the crowd. It was so funny.
I think a lot of stories about Pa. I mean, we got stuck on the plane on the way back to his funeral, so I read back through me and Terry sat and read through my old messages to Pa and back, and you couldn't read them out. We just abused each other every day. It was just sheer abuse. And then there was like a barrage of memes that he'd made, and he'd send me them, and he'd go, "Dare me to post this?" And I'd go, "I dare you." And then he would like try and do a deal. Well, what if I post this? What do I get out of it? And all this sort of thing. And you could never talk about any of them because they're all so terrible. But he definitely had a wild imagination.
He's tried to broker a deal out of it as well. That was very much like Pa as well. He was business savvy, very business savvy.
Yeah.
Look, one thing that no one's spoken about is, I dare I say, the coaching side of him. Because the last conversation I ever had with him, it was a very, very short one. And as we started, he went, "Mate, hold on, got to go." And it's because he was looking after yourself. Because when he was backstage, yes, he would be a social butterfly. Yes, he wanted to make people laugh. But his job then was to look after you. What was it like backstage? What was he like in that role?
It was just perfect. It's just like his people skills again. Before the comps, obviously, you're getting wound up in your own head. It's very serious. Obviously, the pressure of these arena shows, I think a lot of people who've never actually been and stood there and experienced that understand quite how intimidating of an occasion it is. We're all normal blokes. You know what I mean? I know we lift these weights and stuff, but the psychological element at play of walking out there and, potentially making a fool of yourself and all these people and people having opinions of it and things like that. If you're allowed to sit and ruminate on that and play into it, it can destroy performances. And it was it was a small reason that I just enjoyed having Pa around, is that until it was time to lean into the seriousness and lean into the competitiveness, it was just the most unserious, distraction ever. And I'm very grateful that I got to spend all these times with him. I'd say that all of my success last year competing, as much as things went wrong, was because of him. Like before Europe's, I couldn't carry the shield the way that Pa carried it. Darren was there for when I was trying it down the yard with him. I tried to link my arms around it and I was like, no, can't do it. Picked it up the way I did it, which is just a normal Zercher carry position, was terrible. And Pa went, I'm not going to say exactly how he said it, but, try again and do it like this. And then I did it and I was like, right, I can win Europe's strongest man now. Went and won it. He was absolutely buzzing for me. And then obviously I got injured at Worlds. In the whole process of overcoming my 6th surgery and all that, he was in it with me, and not for the first time. Pa, if you were in a bit of a trench, if you were in the trenches, he'd jump in next to you. Again, just that perseverability. And then Pa was one of the main players in getting me to do Glasgow, because I was like, I'm not sure if this is a good idea, and I maybe wanted someone to facilitate my bad decision making. But he was like, "Yeah, do it. You could do it. You could get injured you could get injured in a comp next year. Like, why not this one? You're in good shape. Go for it." And just, I know how much he believed in me. Even at times when it had been easy to not, he was so for me. And it's very rare that you have someone like that in your life. And whenever I stood shoulder to shoulder with him, I felt like I could take on the fucking world. You know what I mean? He was like a brother. And him at Glasgow, he was really sick at Glasgow as well. You wouldn't have thought. But yeah, he just knew exactly what to do. He knew exactly what to say. I'm just so happy that he was involved in all these moments. And there's many of them with me and Pa, luckily, because we were so close, and I'm going to cherish them forever now. And I'm so glad that we had that relationship. I wish I could have had more of his time, because I'm sure there was many more great moments to come. But yeah, I'm going to miss him a lot.
Just changing the topic for a sort of split second here. What was he like to have as a coach? And what was his? He certainly had certain expertises, I think. Pa, he was a tremendous Olympic lifter. Always shocked me how good he was at these kind of things. Obviously, he was he always looked like he was casual and didn't really train hard. But actually, when you sat down and spoke to him, there was no stone left unturned. He was remarkably savvy in every different aspect. He was one who taught me about red light therapy. I didn't really know much about it. It was quite amazing, actually, how much he did. Well, what was he like as a coach then? You've got a
I don't know. He just brought the best out of you. Like he was a really ballsy competitor, Pa. Like for all he was very unserious, he was ballsy as hell. And I think he obviously brings that out in you. And the reason we got on so well is probably because we're so alike. And I think just bouncing off each other in that way was huge for me. But if there's anything he could have done for me at any point, he'd have done it. After Glasgow, and obviously post-Worlds was one of the hardest moments of my life. Trying to obviously navigate a sick surgery, and even over the last kind of 4 years, life hasn't been easy. But he's been there with me for all of it, and not like there for me, like a little bit there for me, like every single day, telling me to do stuff. What are you doing? How are you getting on? And then post Glasgow, I was in a real lull for about a month or so, and I was like, I need to do something about this, but I'm a bit lazy. And he's Googling and sending me therapists, and there's this guy who's not too far away. Go and see him. How are you today? What are you doing? Just guiding me through it, and that's just how he was. He had a really good heart, a brilliant heart. For someone who came off so unserious and jokey, he was very sensitive and cared a lot. So,
Luke, thanks so much for sharing everything that you did. I'm sure this conversation can't have been easy for yourself. And what's really, really cool is that in a lot of your stories, your eyes have lit up and you've smiled. And even though I'm sure it's still very painful, these are great memories that will last a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, it's an emotional burnout this week has been. Can I tell one more story? I think
Please,
Darren
mate.
might hear it.
It is.
Right, so you can't get angry at me though. It wasn't my fault. So, Darren, you'd be relatively well known around our area, wouldn't you?
Probably, yeah. I don't know. Go on. This is going to be about.
Is this a surprise story? Surprise!
Yeah, well, I'm ready. Usually, everyone knows who Darren is around where we live. I'm from Harrogate. Darren's from Boroughbridge. He's just down the road. And Darren had this Ford Transit van, which was all branded up with all Giants Live logos all over it. And me and Pa went out for a meal one night, and he must have accidentally, on purpose, drove through about 3 red lights in it whilst absolutely pissing himself with me in the fucking passenger seat. And I just thought, like, you're just an idiot, aren't you? And he was, obviously, it's all Giants Live branded. Everyone knows Darren, and he didn't do it on purpose. Well, the first one he didn't anyway. And as we drove past the person who was stood there at the side of the road looking confused, it was at the bottom of, do you know Montpellier Hill?
Yeah,
where
yeah.
Wetherspoons is? You have to turn right, and obviously you get in the right-hand lane. And he didn't actually see that one, to be fair. And there was a person stood there waiting to cross the road, and we drove past them slowly, like 2 miles an hour, and Pa was just looking at him, laughing at him, because he was like, oh shit, I've just gone through this red light. It was... Oh,
so I'm going to get attacked in Harrogate one day.
Yeah. That's why you got 9 points in your license.
It was quite funny really, because he used to obviously stay at either my house or your house when he come and train. But first time he came to my house, he was looking round like this, and he's like, "Oh, how long can I stay for?" I said, "Well, you're staying for a week, aren't you? You're going to train, yeah." Literally, like about 3 weeks later, my wife's like, When is Pa going back to Ireland? He had tea with us every night. He stayed for weeks and weeks, but we got to know him a lot more then. Obviously, we all knew him from the shows and stuff, but sort of opened up a lot more about his past and things like that, the fire brigade, the stories that he told you. And it wasn't just, there was a lot to Pa outside, even being the funny guy and strongman. He'd done a lot before strongman.
His brother said it, didn't he?
A hell of a lot.
Builder.
Yeah, tax evader,
astronaut. Yeah. Not all of those are true.
He was always trying to work out how he couldn't pay any tax, and he would always tell me like,
and he was really good at it.
What can I do about not paying tax? I said, well, listen, if you do work it out, can you let the rest of us know? I think he thinks everyone's had this way of not paying tax, bless him. But, I think everybody, even my kids, got to know him so well. He was very good with the kids. And he almost dealt with kids differently. He went very immature, didn't he, with kids? Did you notice that?
He was
really came down to their level, so they loved him. And even was a little bit inappropriate in the jokes and stuff like that, but the kids sort of liked it,
I think obviously after it was the first time I met Freddie, going over and we're at the house obviously with Lena and stuff, and just been out when Freddie was at Lena's mum's house and went round and saw him. He is absolutely crazy. And I just think, can you imagine someone with Pa's temperament that he's obviously inherited being raised by Pa? Can you imagine being Pa and being raised by normal people and him turning out the way he was? And then can you imagine having Pa's brain and being raised by Pa? Oh, God.
It's going to be great to see how he turns out.
As well. But yeah, I'd just like to thank you for obviously bringing us on and letting me be part of this, and obviously all of his family and friends from back home as well. I think all of us can say that we felt honoured to be so involved in his day, and I love them all very much. So, yeah.
Luke, great to talk to you, mate, and we'll see you very soon.
See you later.
Thank you to Luke, and indeed for all of you for watching and what has hopefully been a special celebration of a very special man. And just before we do wrap up, a couple of things. Number one, there has been an incredible amount of money already raised for Pa's family. You can do that on the GoFundMe link that we've got in the description there. If you are able to, every penny would be appreciated. It is absolutely blown up on what was originally targeted, but it's going towards a family that right now undoubtedly are struggling. But Terry, kind of talking about Pa's life and Pa's legacy, such a special man, such a charismatic man, what will you take with him now in your life?
I mean, I obviously don't have the charisma and the comedy value that Pa had, and I never will have, and not many people will ever have. But one thing I think that what he stood for, the don't be a C, I think that's definitely something that we should all be more like. The fact that he was willing to stand up to people being bullied, the fact that he didn't stand for any of that and was made a point of sort of sticking up for people. Also, the whole mental health thing as well, where he was very a big advocate of mental health, especially in men. And I think these are all things that we perhaps should be more like Pa. Moving forwards, it's as simple as that. He had a lot of great qualities that I think we could all learn a lot from.
And from my end is on that social media front, I love, and I haven't quite decided what I'll do, but there's something about the fact that he also shone a light on everyday heroes, on just normal people who sometimes do extraordinary things. Absolutely love that. He championed the little man. What about for you, Daz? What will you carry forward?
Well, I've thought about this a lot, actually, because it's been sort of an emotional week for everybody over there in Ireland. And two things, really. One is, for me personally, Pa would always check up on me. And I think we need to do that a lot more with each other. And I know, speaking to the guys that were there at the funeral, they all said the same. Oh, yeah, ring me. How are you doing? How's your training going? How's this? How's that? We don't do it enough as men, to be fair, to make sure your mate's all right.
Yeah.
So that's the other one thing. And the other thing, really, for me, is just the sort of fragility of it all. All of a sudden, someone's not here. And it's like, you've got to appreciate what you've got. And, that's the big lesson for me. It's like, life's so fragile. And it's like, you've got to be grateful for what you've got. And probably put things in perspective. Pa was very good at that. If you're getting pissed off about something, is it really that bad? And he'd be the one that'd tell you, probably isn't. And especially when someone's gone, that's very final. We're all still here, so we've got to learn from, the lessons that someone like Pa leaves.
Yeah, absolutely right, mate. And Bryson.
I mean, I think it's just it's his honesty in the day of we're not quite sure what we're watching anymore on social media. Pa cut through it all, and I think just seeing so many people at that funeral. I think there's a huge lesson in I mean, there were so many variations of people from so many walks of life, and I think enjoy the time you have here. I think Pa lived a very full life, and he might have passed away young, but I think he's a man who had multiple different lives, and that's why he was so fascinating.
And also, he's created in the four of us here us being totally comfortable with being vulnerable. Because actually, like with yourself, Daz, I've never heard you speak so reflectively for so long ever, and that is the power of a man who did that on a daily basis. But Brycey, so we're going to end with a beautiful clip of a journey which you've touched on between Eddie and Pa. But just to set up that final clip, what was that journey all about? How did it come to be, that stone lifting up in Scotland?
Well, it was just after the World Tour finals in Glasgow, and the lifting stones, the ancient lifting stones of Scotland, some more ancient than others, are just something that Eddie Williams in particular kept talking to me about as a Scotsman. So I said, listen, mate, stay on for a little bit of time. And in the end, he was doing Italy's Got Talent or something. So he had to get another week. After we did that, he did another week down at my house, Big Ed. And then Pa just, I think we were almost in the car, leaving the car park on the Sunday. And it was, hey guys, room for one more? And he had his ukulele, and off we went on a road trip. It was just, shouting, road trip, and off we went. And it was great fun. It was just a ball. Scotland's all those remote locations, Big Ed there just laughing away, and Pa singing Barbie Girl in the back. That'll haunt me forever. It was just great. It's a great time.
Now, I know everyone who's going to see this clip is going to say, where can I see more of where that came from? So there are intended three parts, is that right? But two have been...
The never seen, maybe lost third part never made it out. So, I don't know, we'll try and dig it up, hopefully. But, because I think he wins the stone lifting in that one as well.
Well, thanks to the guys here. Thank you very much for joining. Thanks to our guests from as far away as Australia. It's not been an easy time, but it's safe to say that Pa has left a very lasting legacy, and we're all grateful to him. So just before we see this final clip, we'll raise a glass and say those 4 words, don't be a cunt.
Have you heard about the big strong man? Lives in a caravan. Have you heard about the Jeffrey Dutch fight? Oh,
take your hand up. Yes. Come on, Pa. One, move that hand.
It's different, whatever. What's meant to be 152?
If it bleeds, we will kill it.
I roll for the medals on his chest.
Is there something in my beard?
You know, it's more or less think of a man, hell's fire, don't push, just shove, plenty room for you and me. He's got an arm, like a leg, a punched up and sink a battleship. It takes all the army and the navy to put the wind up. Still the best.